Bonjour, everyone. Megazents, Nindishinikas, Jangweshe, Nindudem, Matabimug, Nindunjaba. Little Eagle is my Ojibwe name. My family's from the Mink clan in the town of Redby. My English name is Dan King, and I'm president of the Red Lake Nation College. We are now offering classes right here in Minneapolis. But you don't have to be just a Red Lake member. Any tribal member can come here. Anybody who's not enrolled in any tribe can come here. You come to Red Lake Nation College and we treat you like family. Small classes, one-on-one help, just a lot of assistance. And I think one of the best things is you finish here with zero debt. In this country, the average 4-year debt for a 4-year degree is $33,000. So the next thing I wanted to mention is our community education that this series is a part of. It's free education for anybody. And as we got this nice turnout tonight, a great turnout online. So we want to do these types of things regularly. And that's why we invited people like James, and we had Brenda Childs a few weeks ago. So that's what we're trying to do. So at this point, I will get the honor of introducing our guest speaker for tonight. And one of the things I love about this job is we get to meet people like James. And we've known James for about 3 years now. And he first came and did a board training for our college. And our friend Bill May, who served on the board, recently passed away. But Bill found James and said, we got to have this guy do our board training that we do every year. So we brought him in, and we've been great friends and partners ever since. That was the first time. And the second time, we had him come up to Red Lake, and he made a presentation for our community. It was the biggest event we ever had up in Red Lake at our college. So we were very proud that our community just welcomed him in and learned everything that James was sharing with us. Just a great message. And then our third time is, right now. So we had him back again. So I think you're going to see, and a lot of the people who know James online already know how great he is. And what I love about him is it's a message of love, of hope. And really, this is what the Ojibwe language and culture and teachings are all about. It's this positive message that he spreads. And he doesn't just talk about it, but he actually does that in real life. When you deal with James, he's exactly like he is in his Ojibwe word of the day. So that's what I like. He's authentic, he's down to earth, and he's just a great teacher. So we're really honored to have him. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome James Vukelich, Kaagegaabaw. Thanks.
Aho, bonjour and dinoi maganado. Anin. Kaagegaabaw Indigenous. Mikanak and Dudem. Mikanak Wajawing and Dunjaba. Besho Gakabakang and Danongo. Apichigo Migwage Bijayeg. Adash Ganawabamieg. And Gajaganishim Gaye. So I'll speak a little English as well. Hello, all of my relatives. My name is Kaagegaabaw. I'm Turtle Clan. I'm a descendant of Turtle Mountain. I live close to Minneapolis today. And I wanted to thank all of you for coming out tonight and for listening, for those of you who are online. I'd also like to begin by just saying, Apijigo Miigwech to Ogama Dan King and to Misquagamiwi Zagaganing Gabega Kandaso to the Red Lake Nation College. They have shown me an extraordinary amount of generosity, kindness, and a great deal of love over the years. And it's always a pleasure whenever I have an opportunity to either travel to Red Lake or now visit with you all here at the embassy here in Kaagegaabaw, the place of the falls in Minneapolis. And tonight, I think we'll begin by discussing this concept that shows up internationally in the Anishinaabe, this idea of 7 generations. For example, amongst the Haudenosaunee speaking people, Deganawida, the great peacemaker, when he brought the great laws of peace to his people, He told them that in every one of your decisions, in every one of your deliberations, you are going to have to think 7 generations into the future. Now, the first time you hear that, it's very impressive. For me, it was a little confounding. How do we do that? How do we come up with a choice, a decision, an action that's going to affect someone we'll never see, we'll never visit with, we'll never listen to or hold? How do we affect someone 7 generations from now? And what I'd love to present tonight is an Ojibwe, Anishinaabe, Chippewa perspective of that. So we'll start here. This first generation is Nin, I, me, myself. Here we have Nus and Ninga. Nus is our old word for my father. More contemporary Ojibwe speakers may use Ndede or Nababa. And for my mother, you may hear Namama as well, but these are our old words. Here's Nimishomis and Nokomis. And of course, being here in Minneapolis, we have Lake Nokomis. I lived just a few miles away from there for over 15 years. And our next generation is Indonako-Bichigan. Indonako-Bichigan. My great-grandparent, my great-grandfather, my great-grandmother. But it doesn't just mean that. It has in it this word part, this morpheme, unik. Now, unik means to be interconnected. It means to be interlinked. It means to be in a sequence. So I think an Ojibwe perspective of this idea of unik would be something like this. So if we translate that word, Indonako-Bichigan, it can mean my great-grandparent, my great-grandfather, my great-grandmother. It can mean my ancestor, someone who lived here thousands and thousands of years ago. I can refer to him or her as Indonako-Bichigan. And in this linking, we have past, present, and future that are totally interconnected. And if we look at this idea of 7 generations, there is this concept that shows up that the idea of I, me, myself, it may not actually exist. I am a link in the chain going all the way back, and I'm going all the way forward. I'm inextricably interconnected to all of my relatives. And so my question with this became, it was no longer why, that age-old question of human existence. Why am I here? Why was I born? We're here because we're related. We're here because we're inextricably interconnected. They always knew we would be here in 2021. My question was no longer why, it became how. How do I live in a way that can bring peace and balance to all of my relatives? How can I live without conflict with my environment? How can I live without contradiction, saying one thing and then doing another? And our ancestors have left us a way to do this. In Anishinaabe Mon, we call this Minobumatsuan. The good life, a life of peace, a life of balance, a life without conflict or contradiction. And how do we lead the good life? The good fortune is that our ancestors have left us a way to do that. I think it should be pointed out too that to lead a good life, the natural consequence of that is to also have good health. That was true wealth for our ancestors. And to do that, we have Gichi Debak Konegewanan. Another word I learned from the late Richard Morrison was the Kaagegaabaw Konegewanan. Gichi Debak Konegewan would really mean the great law, the sacred law. It has Gichi in it, great, Dib, to speak, in Akon, with a wood-like article in your hand. The Kaagegaabaw Konegewanan. Kaagege is eternal. In is a certain direction or a certain way, and Akon is with a wood-like article in your hand. The wood-like article that they're speaking of is the Vukelich. It's the pipe stem. It's the gift we were given to give thanks, to acknowledge all of our relatives, to ask for help, to pray, and of course to make relationships and agreements with other nations. And what I'm presenting to you all tonight is that if you are all of your relatives, and all of your relatives are you, you can't make your relatives change, but can you change yourself? And if you do change yourself, have you in fact changed all of your relatives? When I first started learning the language, I would ask fluent speakers, I would ask elders, I would ask chiefs and spiritual people, what would be the best way to learn the language? And they would say, it's already in you, but if you really want to know the traditions, the culture, the spirituality, it's all in the language. It's all in the language. We're lucky we have a number of resources that are available online. When I started learning the language, we had Kinko's copybooks and cassette tapes that I would play and listen to on my Walkman or this little cassette player, and maybe get my copies from Kinko's. We have a whole bunch of resources online. The Ojibwe Native Journal, which is at Bemidji State University, is an outstanding resource. I'd love to plug that. There are a number of stories that were recorded, digitally recorded in Ojibwe that you can listen to, and you can also read along with a translation. You know, I haven't counted it. It's up there. Do you guys mind if I say it? Mini bashki minasigani batuyengwe sichigani bakwejigan. Blueberry pie is the one I know. It's a great question. It's a really great question. You know, in the closing of my talk, I said, you can't make anyone do anything. And I think sometimes as parents, as grandparents, as aunts and uncles, we can try to do that out of love for the people we hold very dear. Like, you will want to know this. You will need to know this, but you can't make them learn it. And I think our perspective of it has to be to present it to them in a way that they can approach it on their own terms, that they will have the chance to learn at their own discretion and at their own pace. And on that note, I would like to say, Ando menopomatsida. Let's all go out and seek out a good life, not just for ourselves, but for the benefit of all of our relatives. So, mi'ie wa kiroyan. That's all I'll say. Pijigomi gwech bizendai. Thank you all so much for listening.